Um, I see something here. Wait. Chat. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Julia. Okay, are you still with me? Because I can't see you for some reason.
Yes, we're all still here.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the babysitters and about the after school club, why we established them. So the babysitters is basically a illegal kindergarten for kids from a few months age to 3 years old. So in Israel, the law for government education starts at 3. What happens until 3? The Israelis pay for private kindergartens, but they're very expensive for the asylum seekers. So because of the need to put their children somewhere while they're working, because they have to work long hours, so these babysitters were established. We're estimating that there are around 90 kindergartens like that in Tel Aviv. As you can see in the picture, sometimes it's very small rooms, like just regular apartments, but a lot of children stay there. There is usually not enough light, not enough airing, not enough space for babies to crawl around, not enough space for kids to run around and play safely. The number of adults per children is very low, and the adults that are running these babysitters are usually either refugees, but usually they're foreign workers. So usually it's African women from Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, or sometimes the Philippines that are doing those kindergartens, and this is their way to make a living since they are illegal as well in Israel. There are a lot of dangers in these kind of kindergartens. First of all, the nutrition sometimes is not enough, and there can be things in the building itself that can be dangerous to kids, like the electricity, the paint on the wall that is like leaking because of water and stuff like that. And most important, those women that are running the babysitters, they're not kindergarten teachers. They didn't learn how to do that. They're not qualified to work with kids. Most cases that I see, they love them a lot. They're really trying to do their job well, but they're in a survival mode. They have a lot of kids that they have to take care of, and they're not qualified for that. So it's very, very hard situation for them. And we can see a lot of development problems in those kids. So the speech sometimes is not right because no one teaches them how to speak properly. There can be also physical problems when babies are not crawling well because they had to spend long hours in their beds. They spend long hours watching the TV. So it creates a lot of developmental issues afterwards when they're getting older. And what we're trying to do in those babysitters, we cannot turn them into kindergartens, but what we can do is try to improve the conditions there a little bit. So we improve, so we bring them nutrition. We have a nutrition program where we bring them the food for lunch. We have the volunteers that come once a week to be with the children, play with them, let them run around, give them some activities, some added value, give them a personal attention, a smile, someone that looks at them and gives them attention per child and not treats them as part of the group that needs to be fed and change diapers. We also give them equipment and we also help with infrastructure. So painting sometimes the walls, replacing the air conditioning if it's not working, stuff like that. And this the program that I'm coordinating. So whoever is volunteering in the babysitters is working with me. We spoke about that a little bit, but so the volunteering in the babysitter includes coming once a week for an hour and a half or 2 hours. We are very strict with that being a regular hour. It's very important to the kids that it will be each week on the same day, same hour. Sometimes things happen, but usually we create a contact with the auntie, which is the person that is running the babysitter. We create a contact with the kids, and then, you know, the sky's the limit for what the volunteer wants to do. This summer we did in all the kindergarteners this pool day, because they couldn't go out because of the corona to any pool or any special activity. So we brought them to the kindergarteners, a lot of special activities with the volunteers. So whoever comes to the babysitters will have another session with me that is focused mainly just on the babysitters. The other project that all of you from Young Judea are going to go to is the After School Club. So the After School Club was established because Lifelet saw that a lot of kids after school hour don't have a place to go to, and they just wander around in the streets, and they're living in very tough neighborhoods in South Tel Aviv, in Hatikva neighborhood, Neve Sha'ana neighborhood. They're all close to the central bus station, but they're hard neighborhoods. It's not pleasant places for kids to go around all the afternoon. So we opened 2 after-school clubs. Until this year, they were just in the neighborhood in 2 houses that we rented, and everyone could come and join there. This year, it got changed a lot. It's going to be inside the schools. So we have 2 schools that we chose. These are schools of asylum seekers. So in Israel, in Tel Aviv, the education for asylum seekers is segregated. So the schools are only for foreigners and asylum seekers. The kids come to the after school club when they finish school, and they stay after 6, and they stay until 6. They're separated to groups by their age, and each group has a counselor and volunteers. We give them lunch and also dinner before they go. And what we are looking for from the volunteers in the after school club is either to be with the group for a whole day, which I think is what will you do, the people from Young Judea, to be with them from 1:30 or 2 when they come until 6, to help them in homework, to help the counselor, to be with them in all the special activities. And also, if you can, we're also looking for some volunteers that will do activities for the kids. For example, if you are a dancer and you want to do a dance club with the kids, or you are, I don't know, painter and you want to do a painting club with the kids. So we're also always looking for that and open for that ideas. And this is the therapeutic program, but it's not really for this session. And we also tell our volunteers that because we're working with kids, it's very important to stay for the long duration. Young Judea, I know you're a program, so it's different because you come in the time of your program. But for other people, it's very important to stay. We usually stay for a school year, which is 10 months, in order to really be a good character in this children's life. And as I told you in the beginning, we supply also mentorship all the way in all the volunteering process. So we offer those kind of sessions like we did today every 2 or 3 months. And we also ask to tell us if you are going to leave the volunteering, so we can do a proper goodbye with the kids. It's very important for the connection with them. These are the main things. And now it's open for your questions. I would really like to hear your thoughts, maybe your worries about starting a volunteer with the kids, something that you learned, whatever. Well, maybe stop sharing so I can see you. Now I see you.
I had a question about kind of like the layout of the situation. Is it like a bunch of kids all together and a bunch of volunteers, or is it like split up into like futsal with like a few volunteers per group?
So you all are going to be in the after school club. So it's groups by their groups in school, by their classes in school. Each group has a counselor. He's the main counselor of the group, and they also have a permanent volunteer. I don't know if you know what Shirut Leumi is, national service, that they do it instead of the army. They volunteer for 1 or 2 years. So they are permanent volunteers that come every day. So the main counselor and Ben Shirut or Bat Shirut, they are every day with this group from 1:30 to 6. And then all the other volunteers are added to that. And we have a schedule for the after school club. When they come, they eat lunch, they have the open day talk, they have the main activity. So it's very organized, and you'll be a part of that. And in the next session you'll have with Tohar, the manager of the after school club, she'll explain you everything.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
In what language will we be communicating with the kids?
So the kids mostly speak Hebrew, but all of them speak English as well, because as I explained to you about the babysitters that they grew up in, the kindergarteners were mostly Nigerian. So they heard English throughout their childhood. Sometimes their parents also speak English with them. So they know English, but they prefer Hebrew. So when you'll speak English with them, they'll understand. But sometimes maybe they reply in Hebrew, they reply in English. So it's something you'll have to learn with them. And I guess they'll have to learn also to communicate with you and speak more English. But the ones of you that knows Hebrew, it's better to try and speak with them as much as you can.
Hi. My question is that I'm from the ARDC. That in the ARDC there's a lot of refugees also, or asylum seekers from Ethiopia, and you haven't spoke about them. And I know that there's a significant Jewish Ethiopian community in Israel, but that's a different story. And so there are still Ethiopians that are not Jews, and I'm not sure how to place them in this picture.
So sometimes I say you can place them where you choose as ideology to put them. They have 2א5. They have the same visa as the Eritreans, but they're sometimes not spoken as asylum seekers because they're not a significant group of asylum seekers in the world, or their reasons for coming here are sometimes more vague than the Eritreans or Sudanese to put them as asylum seekers. So I usually don't mention them, although there are people from Ethiopia here. Also, number-wise, they're a smaller group. Maybe in RDC you see them more, but statistically it's a small group. And the reasons for coming here, as I said, is it's more vague. Like you can't say that they ran from a genocide or they ran from a military dictatorship. So it's more a case-to-case kind of refugees. But they do have the same visa. So legally they're in the same status. They have the same rights or don't have the same rights.
And I heard that recently there is more refugee status is given out. Is there any specific reason for that? That there was a big gap when there was like only 1 or 2 cases, and maybe in the past half a year, I'm not sure when, like there's already 7 people that gained the status. Why?
The thing is, it's really hard to know why, because there is no official policy towards refugees. And that's the main thing. The government is never giving a policy, so everything will stay vague in their life, that like they can live here in any minute. So we never know why the government is doing the changes that they're doing. For example, I showed you in the visa, there was this sentence that said they're not allowed to work, but then a few months ago, they took it off the visa. Logically, it's a good step. We're happy that they took it off the visa because they need to understand that legally they have to work, but they don't publish it. Like we know they took the sentence off because people report to us and show us their visas. It's not that they have an official announcement and they said, now we're going to take this off because we understand that. So it's always very vague. You never know what their intentions are and what the direction that they're going to.
Okay.
Someone has more questions? Okay. So I hope I didn't scare you too much with the background of this population, because it is a very hard background, but you'll see in the daily volunteering, when you'll meet the children, they will just be so sweet and it will be so much fun to work with them. But it's important that you will have it, you know, in the back of your mind that this is the situation they're coming from. And also the grown-ups that you work with in the RDC. So that's it for me. The next step for Young Judea, guys, is that Toa will speak with you. And for Paul, I'm going to send you an email with a form that you need to fill in order for me to create contact with you about the next step in the babysitters.
Okay, no problem.
I have a question.
Ken.
How are we for the school program? How are we accommodating for the coronavirus?
I couldn't hear the end for the school.
How are we accommodating for the coronavirus with the after-school program?
That's hard, Ken. When there is a total lockdown and the school system is not working, so of course we're not operating as well in the schools. The after-school club is now done like a personal mentorship through the Zoom or Skype or WhatsApp calls, and we hope that the lockdown will be finished after the holidays. So in October, we'll be able to go back to the schools as usual, but we always wear masks, even if we're in school.
Thank you.
אני חושב שאולי הוא התכוון טיפה יותר לאחרי הסגר, איך אנחנו מתמודדים, זאת אומרת, על התו הסגול מבחינת התנהלות בשגרה, בקורונה. אם תוכלי ככה טיפה להרחיב על זה.
After the lockdown, what's going to happen is we're going to go back to the school. What we do is, for safety of the corona, they're in the same capsules of the morning. So the same kids that go to the same class are together in the group in the after school club. And the staff is wearing masks. The kids are not wearing a mask. We can't really demand that from them. Also in the babysitters, obviously the kids don't wear masks. We wear the plastic mask, not the nose mask, so they can see our faces. In the Modonit, they do wear the nose and mouth mask. We do what we can, you know, we wash hands, we try to leave some air, the windows open, but we're operating as the schools and the kindergarten are working, like the same instruction as the education system. So I hope that you learned and it was interesting. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope to see you soon in real life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.